Welcome to SAF Studios Insider. I'm your host, Mary Dawn, and we're broadcasting from beautiful Marina del Rey, California. My guest today is actor Frank Jones. Okay, Frank, I know you started out as a Marine and survived a major battle. I've got to hear about that first.
Well, I joined the Marine Corps at age 17. Went to 2 or 3 Marine divisions throughout the country and other countries, and then in 1967 I ended up in Vietnam with 26 Marine snipers at Khe Sahn. And just before my tour ended over there, we were surrounded by about 30,000 North Vietnamese Army regulars, 2,600 of us, and they held us under siege for about 77 days, hitting us with artillery and rockets. And I had a sniper platoon there.
And the battle, what happened?
Well, the last I remember, I left there on the 31st of March, 1968, and we were still holding. I was a platoon sergeant of a sniper platoon that had 42 men in it, and when I left, I think there was, I had got wounded February the 8th, but I think there was only 4 or 5 people left that hadn't been wounded or killed, and I didn't see them again for almost 42 years.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. And now to go from one extreme to the other. I can't imagine going from a Marine to an actor. How did that happen?
I can't imagine that either. This is not one of my goals. I have one of those stories that make people that want to be actors crazy. I was good friends with John Frankenheimer. He was a director, and I never asked him to put me in one of your movies, but he came up to me one day and said he needed help with a movie he was doing for TNT called George Wallace. Wanted me to be the technical advisor. I agreed, and they signed me to a contract, and I was doing that job, and the second day of filming, John came up and said, "Why don't you play Gary Sinise's bodyguard?" And I said, "Well, I don't want to be in the movies, John." And he said, "Well, you've been a bodyguard, you've been a police officer, and so all you got to do is just be you guarding him."
Right.
And he said, "I'll give you SAG extra pay," which was then $78 a day.
My goodness.
And I said, "Besides technical advising?" And he said, "Sure." I said, "I'll do that." So I filmed a scene, and the next day he watched the dailies, called me in his trailer, and he says, "You know, you look good on camera." And he says, "You're not self-conscious, you don't see the camera. Tomorrow I want you to say this." And I said, "Well, I don't want to say nothing." And he said, "Do you know what I'm offering you?" And I said, "No." He said, "They'll have to put you in the Screen Actors Guild and pay you $400 and some dollars a day." And I said, "Besides technical advising?" And he says, "Yeah." And I said, "What'd you want me to say?" So I got my first line in the movie, and when we finished filming George Wallace, he said, "You know, you got to do this for a living." He says, "You don't have to go to acting class or nothing. Anything you're going to play in the movies, you've been in real life." And that's how I got started, and I've worked steady for about, out of the last 15 years, I've worked steady for 13 of them.
That's amazing.
It amazes me.
That sounds like, yeah, you were definitely a Marine with that director. Are you working on anything particular right now?
Well, right now, I just finished filming a commercial for USAA. I did a episode of Suspect Minds, Criminal Behavior, and then I wrote a script called The Hootch about my guys. It's not about Vietnam. It's about how we held together, took care of each other, and our dark humor. And it's a true story, and I wrote that, and I'm going to direct it. And so that's what I've been working on for the past couple of years.
Wonderful. Well, I know you've come to San Antonio before. What do you think? It could be a great place to shoot The Hootch?
No, that's where we're going to shoot it. No, that's the bottom line. We had looked at a lot of locations, and I went on the internet, and then a lot of information and calling people, but I met Al in San Antonio when I came back there for the Khe Sahn Veterans Reunion, and that's where I hooked up with 4 of my guys, and went out to see the property and heard about the plans and what they're going to build and how they're going to build it and how it's going to be run, and all the. I don't look at Hollywood or any of those things. What I look for is professionalism, because I was in the Marine Corps 28 years.
Sure.
And the way Al Frakes and Lenny presented themselves and their project and what they were going to do and their plans, to me it was very impressive, and it was very professional. And so I went out and looked at I think we drove the 500 plus acres looking at to see if we could put Vietnam there. Well, it's a movie studio.
Sure.
So after looking at everything, made a decision that we could film it there. We could make Khe Sahn there, and we had the hills, and we had the jungle and the stream bed and everything that we needed to make a Vietnam movie and make it look like Vietnam.
That's great. Well, we are so looking forward to it.
Oh, you're not looking forward to it as much as I am. Not only that, my wife and I were thinking about moving to San Antonio.
You'll love it.
Oh, I know it. I love the people. I love the weather. I love the countryside. My wife likes to ride horses, and I mean, we'd have it all right there.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being my guest.
No, it was my pleasure.
And join me next time on SAF Studios Insider.